Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one. Welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, where today for your viewing entertainment we have a tier 10 ranked battle, although there are a pair of tier 9s present. There's a Kitakazi and a Mogador here on the Trident map in domination mode. The star of today's show, and I'm only going to say his name once, Alcubierre Star Drive, named after the theoretical warp drive proposed in, I think, the mid-90s by a Mexican physicist who went by the name of Miguel Alcubierre. I'm almost certainly mispronouncing his name. But as far as the rest of this replay goes, this is Dave. Dave's back, and he's kicking ass once again. Less than favourable matchmaking for a light cruiser, though. He is, in fact, the only cruiser on his team, and he's in a light cruiser. The rest of the team consisting of a pair of destroyers and 3 battleships. And that Vermont over there, you'll know it when you see it. And if you don't, I'll be sure to point it out. But more on that later. Also, Dave is sailing not just HMS Minotaur, this is that rarest of beasts, a radar Minotaur. He's chosen not to go with the smokescreen, which is a brave choice when you're in a light cruiser facing 3 battleships. However, when you see the way this game plays out, it's probably the smart choice because, well, again, I'm straying into spoiler territory here, but the smokescreen absolutely wouldn't have helped him. Dave is not the only light cruiser in the battle, though. The enemy team have a single cruiser, a light cruiser of their own. However, it's HMAS Brisbane. And if you don't know what the Brisbane is, it's basically the Australian Commonwealth version of Dave's ship, HMS Minotaur, with a couple of differences. First and foremost, it has access to high explosive as well as armour-piercing ammunition, something that the British light cruisers don't get. It has a 12-kilometre range radar, and it does not get access to the smoke consumable, so the Brisbane doesn't get a choice. It's essentially a radar Minotaur, whether it likes it or not. First contact spotted, enemy Shimakaze. This is going to be a very, very useful kill if Dave can get him, as that guy was making an early rush for the cap circle. An extremely, let's call it brave move when there's radar in play, and the ship carrying the radar is a destroyer killer like HMS Minotaur. Is the Shimakaze going to get away? I don't think he is. Everybody's focusing him down. Radar's about to expire. Well, that's a bizarre choice. He did have the opportunity to duck into cover behind the island, but instead he popped his smoke, which did kind of work, but then it looks like he's run himself into the island instead of just, and he's still taking hits. I mean, instead of just continuing to the right, he may have survived, but, well, he didn't, so he didn't. There's first blood to Dave. Both teams have one cap circle. The Kitakazi was prevented from flipping the spare cap here at Alpha, and the friendly Kitakazi is now doing exactly... Ooh, those torpedoes, maybe? Yeah, they're fine. Well, the Kitakazi is now doing what the Shimakaze attempted and failed to do. So, good start. 2 cap circles, 1 kill. And yes, the scores are reversed. Dave's team are the ones who are actually ahead, obviously. They're the ones on over 400 points, with the enemy team trailing by 100. And here comes the Libertad, an extremely potent tier 10 battleship, who appears to have decided that what he absolutely needs to do right now is sail into a crossfire. Well, you know what they say, never interrupt the enemy when they're making a mistake. Looks like he's dodged the first set of... Oh, the Kitakazi is taking big hits though. And it doesn't look like he's managed, even burning the torpedo reload booster, he managed to miss the Libertad with every single torpedo. The Kitakazi has gone down, but it's unlikely that the Libertad is going to be able to survive this. Dave, of course, not wanting to get shot at by anybody's 16-inch armour-piercing shells. He's tracking the location of the Libertad. Oh, and the Nahayo's just joined the party as well. They're really going for this cap circle, aren't they? And they have at least managed to contest it. Alright, Dave just checking that he's not exposing himself to a crossfire from the rear while engaging the Libertad here, and he's trying to remain undetected for as long as humanly possible. The Libertad's guns are looking this way. You really don't want to get shot at by that thing. It's not just the main battery guns, the 9.2-inch secondaries will ruin a light cruiser. Yeah, he's spotted. He's going to have to commit. And of course he doesn't have a smoke screen to keep him out of harm's way. But notwithstanding any shots coming from back over there, with the Libertad being the immediate threat, he really, really needs to strike. I mean, yeah, he's getting shot at from the rear, but that's not what's going to kill him. Coming out in front of this Libertad will, because 16-inch armor piercing shells will slice through a Minotaur's armor from any angle. But he's kind of committed now. He needs to go. Hopefully get the kill here before the Libertad gets to fire again, and he's got him. Meanwhile, the Ohio's been taking a beating too. He is inside torpedo range though. Minotaur actually gets some very, very good torpedoes. They have good damage, decent speed, 10-kilometer range, and it gets to launch 8 of them from each side. But it looks like the Ohio, unlike his previous 2 teammates, knows what's good for him. He's getting the hell out of there. The friendly Libertad just got himself a high caliber award already. Good stuff. Must know Dave isn't the only one kicking ass. And the Ohio has been driven out of the cap circle, which is good, because it means Dave's team retains control of 2 of the 3 caps. Dave can afford to take a little bit of a chance here, because with the Ohio pulling a 180 turn like that, it means only the 2 rear turrets are in a position to shoot back at it. But since they are in a position to shoot back at him, and they're probably about ready to fire, and he's not going to kill the Ohio, it doesn't make any sense to take any unnecessary risks, especially since he's just lost another 2 teammates. The friendly Libertad and the friendly Ohio. So despite the 2 cap advantage, they are now about 50 points behind. Although they do have that 2 cap advantage, so provided nobody else dies, it ain't going to take them long to catch up. Now if you're sitting there at home thinking, Dave, what are you shooting at? There's nothing there. He doesn't actually have line of sight. And the Ohio might have been sticking its arse out trying to catch sight of him, so he was peppering the area around the side of the island there just in case. But, well, clearly the Ohio hasn't done that. He does have the radio position finding skill, or whatever they're calling it this week, pointing out the direction of the closest enemy, which is still the Ohio. Checks to see what's going on behind him, and it looks like the Forrest Sherman has committed the cardinal sin of straying into radar range of a Brisbane. Yep, he's dead too. Enemy team have just gone even further ahead. There are now only 2 ships left alive on Dave's team. Him and the Vermont. They're outnumbered 2-1, and they're now even further behind on points, although they do still hold on to 2 of the 3 cap circles. And the Ohio probably has no interest in trying to steal back control of the cap circle here at Alpha, not when he's perfectly aware that there is a Minotaur armed with 8 torpedoes per side, sitting here waiting for him to try to do exactly that. So, I mean, that doesn't mean he's not going to do it. Just because it's a dumb idea doesn't mean, oh crap, there he is. Oh, the guns are swinging around. Come on, Dave, get it to cover. Oh, there go the front turrets. This could really hurt. This could really hurt. Oh, it didn't. All right, he's once again undetected. Whew. Now then, that Vermont. He's there in chat complaining, well, it's in battle chat, not team chat, so complaining to everybody who cares to listen that his team have thrown this match. And the Libertad, who got high caliber before he went down, is saying, well, maybe if you'd done something, we wouldn't be in this situation. And it's Dave here who comes to the defense of the Vermont by saying, look, he's a slow ship, he only just got there. Which is true, but the Vermont continues to complain about his team in chat, calling them all a bunch of shitters. Minor spoiler here, which probably isn't going to come as a great surprise to anybody, but at the end of the battle, when you have a look at the experience earned on both teams, the Vermont is going to come plumb last. So naturally, of course, the one that's done the least to help the situation is the one complaining the most about it. And it's Dave who's actually trying to defend him. I just want you all to hold on to that thought. Dave's the one who so far is the only one who's killed anything on the enemy team, and he's the one who's come to the defense of the Vermont, while the Vermont is complaining about his team's poor performance. Hold on to that thought. The Vermont, of course, is now completely committed. I mean, he is too slow to go anywhere else. So he's now pretty much forced to stand and fight where he is. Meanwhile, Dave keeps checking his torpedo aiming indicator to make sure that he knows exactly which direction that Ohio is sailing in. And even though he's lost sight of him momentarily, he does still have the radio location indicator pointing straight towards the Ohio. The Vermont, however, does appear to be giving broadside to a Yamato. Yes. Oh, look, he's dead. Dave is now the last one left alive on his team against 4 enemies. He's 200 points behind. Well, it's more like 130, 140. He does still have 2 of the 3 cap circles, but 2 of the 3 cap circles ain't going to do him no good when all 4 of those enemy ships come over here to stomp his ass. Now, the good news here, and it's not much good news, is that because the Ohio was once again pulled a 180, he only had 2 sets of turrets ready to shoot. But the Ohio has really, really big guns, and this is a light cruiser. And, oh, this really, really could hurt. And it looks like somebody else is getting involved in the party as well. Not quite sure who that is, but there's more armor piercing coming from the other side of the island. Possibly the Yamato. Really don't want to get hit by any of that. The immediate problem now, of course, though, he really needs to kill that Ohio before he gets to shoot again. And before anybody else gets some shots at him due to the Ohio's spotting. Oh, there's the rear turret. He's got him. Unfortunately, that salvo of 4 shots from the rear turrets, yeah, that really hurt. That just shaved half of his health off. Meanwhile, oh, yeah, that's probably the Yamato. The Vermont hasn't quit. He's still crying his ass off in chat, and now he's actually reporting Dave. And calling him a coward. This, kids, is a classic example of the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's a psychological condition that, well, the simple version is people who are incompetent lack the mental capacity to understand, despite all evidence to the contrary, just exactly how incompetent they are. Everything's always somebody else's fault. Meanwhile, Dave, because he is actually capable of thinking and breathing at the same time, and because he doesn't really have any choice, he has to fight the enemy team, or he's going to lose. 1 against 3. He's heading for the cap circle at Charlie, anticipating that that's where they're probably going to head, since most of them are near it anyway. And taking that cap circle will provide them with a little bit of extra insurance, and while at least 2 of them may be doing that, 1 of them is sneaking around the flank. The radio position finding indicator just blipped to point over there. This is not... and he's spotted, which means it must be the Mogador. I mean, the Mogador outspots him, but not by much. The Mogador, the Tier 10 French destroyer, it's extremely fast, but it is not particularly stealthy. There's the high caliber award. The Mogador returning fire. Oh, and somebody else. Oh, obviously, with the Mogador spotting, there are shots coming in from elsewhere. Dave's just lost a set of torpedo tubes, although that's not an immediate problem. There's some more incoming fire, large caliber coming from somewhere over there to the right. Dave does not know exactly where that Brisbane and the Yamato... oh, that'll be the Yamato. Narrowly avoided. Getting bitch slapped into the middle of next week. Yep, here comes the Yamato. Oh, this is not good at all. Okay, he's going to have to give up the Mogador right now, and there are shots coming in from the Brisbane as well. Because you do not want to get hit by 18-inch armor-piercing shells when you're in a light cruiser like this, with 15,000 health remaining. This probably means that the Mogador is going to get away, but he cannot afford to get hit by the Yamato right now. That doesn't mean he's going to not try to kill the Mogador, of course, but the chances are not good. And the Brisbane's just popped up. I don't know if Dave's aware of it. He's aware of it now. Yep, there it is. Both basically the same ship, except the Brisbane has high explosive and the Minotaur does not. Dave slamming the engines ahead full speed because you don't want to be caught in a crossfire between a Brisbane and a Mogador. And also, this is keeping the island between himself and the Yamato. The Mogador's able to still get some shots in though. He's been set on fire. He's on perilously low health. He burns the heel. But what's the Brisbane doing? I believe the Brisbane is attempting to bring torpedoes to a gunfight, which is the only logical explanation I can think of to explain why a Brisbane with double the health of the Minotaur actually managed to lose a fight to a Minotaur. Yep, there is torpedoes. While the Minotaur was also engaged in a crossfire from a Mogador, but hey, we'll take it. And of course the Yamato, thanks to Dave's positioning, completely unable to help out his teammate in the Australian light cruiser. Radio position finding skill pointing straight towards the Yamato, who's launched his spotter plane. That's no problem, the Minotaur can easily shoot those down. But he knows exactly where the Yamato is. And he's spotted again, which means he's about to detect the Mogador. The difference in concealment between these two ships is not huge. I mean, the Mogador does have the advantage, but the Minotaur is a very, very stealthy light cruiser, and the Mogador is a very unstealthy destroyer, so it does have the advantage, but it's difficult to actually use it. It's very hard for something like the Mogador to be able to spot a Minotaur while staying out of detection range itself. If the Mogador had been the one to suicide pointlessly at the beginning of the match, and this was actually Dave going up against the Shimakaze, well, Dave would never have seen him coming, and this match could have had a distinctly different outcome. But you know what they say, would have, could have, should have, didn't. And the kill on the Mogador pushes Dave over 1,000 points, secures the victory, and he doesn't even need to face the Yamato. Although based on the fact that Dave did just do 189,000 damage killing 5 of the 6 enemy ships, that may have actually been good news for the Yamato. Dreadnought in a light cruiser, I know, ridiculous. Kraken Unleashed, Solo Warrior, First Blood, and of course, High Caliber. Let's take a look at the scores, shall we? There probably aren't going to be many surprises here. Yep, there's Dave at the top of the team with 2,500 base experience, and there's the Minotaur at the bottom with well, he only got 1,000 thanks to Dave carrying the match. All the while, he was complaining about Dave being a useless coward and reporting him for being bad. So, yeah, I think we don't really need to say any more about that. I believe the evidence speaks firmly for itself. So, Dave in the Minotaur, carrying his team, kicking and screaming to the victory line in HMS Minotaur. Hope you all enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.